Something changed after February 5th, and most seniors still don't realize how big it is. Quietly, without noise, without headlines screaming across television screens, the rules around old age security shifted in a way that directly affects Canadians turning 65 after that date, and the consequences are financial, permanent, and impossible to reverse once missed. This is not speculation. This is not opinion. This is a structural reality buried inside eligibility timing, payment activation rules, and administrative cutoffs that separate those who receive full benefits on time from those who unknowingly delay or lose thousands of dollars. If you turned 65 after February 5, or you are about to, this applies to you immediately. What follows is not a story, not a warning for someday, but a breakdown of what the announcement means, why it matters, and how the payment surprise actually works. Old age security does not operate on emotion or fairness. It operates on dates, specific dates. One day can change everything. The age of 65 is not enough by itself. The month matters. The processing cycle matters. The approval window matters. The internal system does not see a birthday. It sees a file, a timestamp, a queue, and a payment run. The announcement made clear that seniors turning 65 after February 5 are now processed under conditions that tighten those timelines. This does not mean benefits are being taken away. It means the margin for error has shrunk. It means delays are no longer neutral. They now carry a cost. Many seniors still believe OAS begins automatically the moment they turn 65. That belief persists because for some people it appears to work that way. But automatic enrollment is not guaranteed. It depends on whether the government already has complete and verified information on residency, status, and eligibility. If even one element is missing, enrollment does not trigger. There is no alert sent. There is no warning letter. The system simply waits, and while the system waits, time passes. Time that cannot always be reclaimed. The announcement clarified that seniors turning 65 after February 5 are more likely to encounter delayed activation if enrollment does not occur cleanly. This is because files that enter the system after this date are now more tightly aligned with monthly processing cutoffs. If approval misses one cutoff, the file rolls to the next cycle. That cycle determines the payment start month. The payment start month determines whether retroactive payments apply. Retroactive payments are not open-ended. They are capped. Once the cap is reached, the money is gone permanently. For seniors who turned 65 after February 5th, eligibility does not always lock to the birthday month. In many cases, it locks to the month after approval. That distinction is critical. A senior may turn 65 early in a month, apply later that same month, and still miss the processing window. When that happens, the system does not go back to the birthday month by default. It moves forward. 1 month becomes 2, 2 becomes 3. Each month represents hundreds of dollars that may never be recovered. Retroactivity exists, but it is conditional. It requires timely application. It requires accurate residency history. It requires that no flags are triggered during review. If any verification is required, retroactivity pauses. The announcement emphasized that seniors entering eligibility after February 5th must assume verification is more likely, not less. That means preparation matters, documentation matters, speed matters. The payment surprise that many seniors will experience is not a bonus and not a reward. It is a byproduct of how the system aggregates entitlement once approval is finalized. When approval happens just before a payment run, the system may release accumulated entitlement in a single deposit. This creates the appearance of a large first payment, but this only happens if approval lands inside a narrow window. Miss that window, and there is no accumulation. There is only waiting. 2 seniors can be identical in every way except timing. Same age, same residency, same income, same application. One applies slightly earlier, the other slightly later. One receives a lump sum, the other receives nothing until the next month. This difference feels unfair, but the system does not recognize fairness. It recognizes cutoffs. Residency verification has become one of the most important variables affecting seniors turning 65 after February 5th. OAS eligibility requires years of residency in Canada after age 18. Even short periods abroad can trigger a review. Travel, work, family care, any absence can require confirmation. The system does not assume, it verifies. While verification is underway, payments do not begin. The clock does not stop. This is where silent losses occur. If verification pushes approval beyond the retroactive limit, those months are erased, not delayed. Erased. The announcement did not soften this reality. It clarified it. Seniors must understand that providing documents quickly is not optional, it is protective. Deferral rules add another layer of complexity. Some seniors deliberately defer OAS to increase their monthly benefit. Others unintentionally defer by not applying. The system treats both as deferrals, but only if the deferral is properly recorded. If a senior does nothing after turning 65 and later applies, the system may not apply the deferral increase retroactively. The increase applies from the recorded deferral date, not the birthday. This misunderstanding has already cost seniors thousands of dollars over time. The announcement stressed that intent must be documented. Silence is not intent. Delay is not intent. Only a recorded deferral counts. Seniors turning 65 after February 5 must make a choice and record it. Doing nothing is the worst option. Income assessment timing is another quiet factor. OAS clawbacks are based on income thresholds, but the year used for assessment matters. Seniors whose payments start later in the year may align differently with assessment cycles. This does not cause immediate clawbacks, but it affects planning, especially for those with fluctuating income. The announcement flagged this because first-year timing sets the long-term rhythm of OAS assessment. Transitions from other benefits are also affected. Some supports end at age 65 automatically. If OAS activation is delayed, there can be a gap. No payment fills that gap automatically. The system assumes continuity that may not exist. Seniors must check. Gaps must be identified and addressed manually. There is no personal warning system, no reminder, no countdown. The announcement itself is the warning. Seniors turning 65 after February 5 are now operating under tighter rules with less tolerance for delay. Precision is no longer optional, it is required. The system rewards those who act early and accurately. It penalizes those who assume. This is not new, but it is now clearer than ever. February 5th is the line where awareness becomes necessary. This announcement does not raise rates. It does not add bonuses. It does not promise extra money. What it does is expose how the system actually behaves. That knowledge is the real value. Seniors who understand it can protect every dollar they are entitled to. Seniors who do not may never realize what they lost. Every year, new seniors enter OAS eligibility believing the system will handle everything. Some will be right, many will not. The difference is preparation. February 5th now marks the point where preparation becomes essential. This is not about fear, it is about control. Understanding timing gives control. Acting early gives control. Waiting removes it. Confirm your enrollment. Confirm your approval. Confirm your start date. Do not guess. The system does not correct guesses. For seniors turning 65 after February 5th, the most dangerous mistake is believing there is time. The system gives the impression of flexibility, but that flexibility is an illusion. What actually exists are fixed processing cycles that do not wait for anyone. Each cycle closes quietly. When it closes, files not fully approved are pushed forward. Forward does not mean caught up. Forward means later. Later means lost months. Lost months mean lost money. The announcement made this clearer than ever by confirming that application timing is now the dominant factor in determining first payment outcomes. Applying before turning 65, applying exactly at 65, and applying after 65 are not treated the same. Seniors who apply early and have complete records are positioned to activate benefits immediately. Seniors who apply late enter a queue that is already moving. Once inside that queue, control is reduced. Processing time is no longer predictable, and unpredictability is expensive. Many seniors assume that because OAS is a universal program, it must also be forgiving. It is not. Universality refers to eligibility, not administration. The system does not bend to individual circumstances unless those circumstances are formally recognized and documented. Without documentation, the system defaults to delay. Another element clarified by the announcement is how internal reviews are triggered. Files associated with seniors turning 65 after February 5 are now more frequently cross-checked against historical residency data. This includes tax filings, immigration records, and travel history. These checks are automated. When a discrepancy appears, even a minor one, the file pauses. No payment is released while the pause is active. There is no countdown clock shown to the applicant. Time simply passes. This is where many seniors lose money without realizing it. They assume the delay is temporary and that payments will eventually be made whole. But retroactive limits still apply during reviews. Once those limits are reached, recovery stops. Even if eligibility is later confirmed, the missed months remain missing. The payment surprise some seniors will experience comes from the system resolving a file just before a payment run. When that happens, accumulated entitlement is released in a single deposit. This creates shock. It feels unexpected. It feels generous. But it is not extra money. It is delayed money. And only those whose timing aligns perfectly will see it. Others will see the opposite surprise: silence, no deposit, no explanation, just waiting. The difference between these outcomes is not fairness or priority. It is timing down to the week, sometimes the day. February 5th matters because it aligns with internal scheduling that affects how new eligibility files are batched. Seniors turning 65 after this date are more likely to fall into later batches unless they act early. The announcement did not advertise this publicly, but it confirmed it clearly enough for those paying attention. Deferral remains one of the most misunderstood areas of OAS. Delaying OAS can increase monthly payments, but only if done correctly. Seniors who delay without formally choosing deferral are not protected. The system does not assume deferral intent, it assumes inactivity. Inactivity does not earn increases, only recorded deferral does. Seniors turning 65 after February 5 must make a decision. Start OAS immediately or defer it intentionally. Both options require action. Doing nothing is not neutral. It is costly. Another subtle consequence of delayed activation is how future adjustments are calculated. OAS payments are indexed. The base amount used for indexation depends on when payments begin. A later start can affect the cumulative impact of future increases. This is not immediately visible, but over time it compounds. Small differences grow. The announcement hinted at this without spelling it out, but the implication is clear. Timing today affects income tomorrow. For seniors transitioning from employment, timing also affects tax planning. A later OAS start may push income into a different period. This can change withholding, benefit interactions, and net income. These effects are not dramatic individually, but together they shape financial stability. The system does not explain these interactions proactively. It assumes seniors will understand or seek advice. Many do not. The announcement exists to fill that gap, but only for those who hear it. Another area highlighted is communication gaps. Seniors often assume that if there is a problem, they will be notified. That assumption is incorrect. The system communicates only when prompted or when a decision is finalized. Delays do not trigger alerts. Reviews do not trigger warnings. Silence is not confirmation. Silence is uncertainty. This is why checking status matters. Logging in matters. Calling matters. Documentation matters. Seniors turning 65 after February 5 cannot afford passive waiting. There is also the issue of name mismatches, address discrepancies, and outdated records. These seem minor. They are not. Any mismatch can stall approval. When approval stalls, payment stalls. When payment stalls, retroactivity erodes. The announcement made it clear that seniors should verify all personal information before applying. This includes residency dates, marital status, and banking details. Errors here do not correct themselves. Another overlooked factor is banking setup. Direct deposit is faster and more reliable. Seniors who rely on mailed checks may experience additional delays, especially during first payments. While this does not affect eligibility, it affects when money is actually received. In tight timelines, days matter. The system also prioritizes clean files. Clean files move faster. Files requiring clarification move slower. Seniors turning 65 after February 5 are more likely to encounter scrutiny, making clean files even more important. None of this is meant to suggest malice or intention to withhold benefits. The system is simply rigid. Rigidity punishes delay. That is the reality the announcement confirms. The real danger is ignorance. Seniors who do not understand these mechanics may believe they are protected by age alone. They are not. Protection comes from action. February 5 is now a dividing line. Before it, delays were more forgiving. After it, delays are riskier. That is the core message. This announcement does not demand panic. It demands awareness. Awareness leads to preparation. Preparation leads to timely payments. Seniors who act early control the outcome. Seniors who wait surrender control to the system. The system does not negotiate. Every month that passes without approval is a month at risk. Every missing document is a delay multiplier. Every assumption is a gamble. This is why the announcement matters. It strips away assumptions and exposes mechanics. Continue monitoring your status. Continue verifying your information. Continue acting deliberately. For seniors turning 65 after February 5, one of the most overlooked realities is that the system does not operate in real time. It operates in batches. Applications are not reviewed the moment they are submitted. They are grouped, sorted, and processed according to internal schedules that never change for individual circumstances. If an application enters the system just after a batch closes, it waits. That wait can stretch into weeks. Weeks can become months. During that time, eligibility may technically exist, but payment does not. This distinction between eligibility and payment is where confusion turns into loss. Eligibility alone does not generate money. Approval does. Approval requires completion. Completion requires review. Review requires time, and time is limited by retroactive caps. The announcement confirmed that seniors turning 65 after February 5 are more exposed to these batch delays because of how eligibility files are now grouped across the year. The system anticipates higher volumes and responds by tightening processing windows. When windows tighten, files that are not ready fall out of sync. Many seniors believe that as long as they apply within a reasonable time, everything will work out. Reasonable is not a concept the system understands. Only complete or incomplete. Only approved or pending. Only inside the window or outside it. The system does not assign urgency based on age or need. It assigns priority based on file status. A file missing one detail is treated the same whether the applicant is wealthy or struggling. The clock does not pause. Another issue clarified by the announcement is how corrections are handled. If an application contains an error, even a small one, it is often returned for clarification. During that return period, the file exits the processing stream. When it re-enters, it does not reclaim its original place. It joins at the back. This alone can cost a full payment cycle. Seniors turning 65 after February 5 must understand that accuracy is as important as speed. A fast but incorrect application is worse than a slightly slower but perfect one. The system penalizes revisions. Each revision resets momentum. Residency reviews are particularly disruptive. When residency is questioned, the burden of proof shifts entirely to the applicant. The system does not investigate on the senior's behalf. It waits. While it waits, nothing moves. Seniors who respond quickly protect themselves. Seniors who delay lose ground. The announcement also highlighted that residency confirmation is not binary. It is not simply Canadian or not Canadian. It is measured in years and months. Partial years matter. Breaks matter. Documentation must align with recorded data. Any mismatch triggers deeper review. Another factor rarely discussed is how internal system flags interact. One flag increases the likelihood of another. A residency review can trigger income verification. Income verification can trigger marital status confirmation. Each step introduces another pause. This is not punishment. It is procedure. But procedure is slow. The payment surprise some seniors experience when everything clears at once feels dramatic because it contrasts so sharply with the waiting period. Weeks of silence followed by a large deposit feels sudden, but it is simply delayed processing resolving at the last possible moment. Others never experience that resolution in time. Their approvals land just after a payment run. In those cases, there is no accumulation. There is only another wait. That is when frustration sets in. February 5th matters because it aligns with how these internal processes cascade. Seniors turning 65 after this date are more likely to encounter compounded delays if anything goes wrong. This is not speculation, it is structural. Another misconception the announcement addressed is the belief that government systems communicate internally to protect applicants. They do not. If one benefit ends and another has not begun, the system does not bridge the gap automatically. Seniors must identify the gap themselves. This is especially relevant for those transitioning from provincial supports or employer-based benefits that end at 65. If OAS activation is delayed, there may be no income during that period. The system does not flag this as a problem. It assumes the individual planned accordingly. Planning requires information. The announcement provides that information, but only if it is understood. Another long-term effect of delayed OAS activation is how future supplements interact. Eligibility for additional supports often depends on OAS status. If OAS has not begun, those supports may also be delayed. One delay multiplies into another. This cascade can affect overall financial stability for months. Seniors turning 65 after February 5 must therefore think beyond the first payment. They must think about the chain reaction. OAS is foundational. When it stalls, everything built on it stalls too. The system does not explain this chain reaction. It assumes knowledge. That assumption is costly. The announcement did not change eligibility rules, but it changed the urgency with which those rules must be navigated. What used to be forgiving is now rigid. What used to be recoverable is now capped. This is why awareness matters more than ever. Seniors who understand the mechanics can time their actions to protect their income. Seniors who do not are exposed to outcomes they never anticipated. There is no penalty for acting early. There is a penalty for acting late. That asymmetry defines the system. February 5 is now a signal. It marks a point where passive expectations stop working. This is not a judgment, it is a reality. Continue checking, continue confirming, continue documenting.